Warned my girlfriend that guy was playing her, but she went to his party, ignoring every word. So I showed up, and found him with his lips almost on her neck, whispering something that made her laugh. He noticed me, chuckled. Chill, man. It's just a party. One broken jaw later, the only thing he was partying with was an ice pack, and I was done with her. I met her in Cebu City. She was studying marketing at the University of San Carlos, and I was working as a freelance graphic designer. We connected over coffee and shared interests, and soon we were inseparable. Our relationship was strong, filled with laughter and shared dreams. We talked about traveling together, building a future, and supporting each other's goals. I believed we had something special. Then she mentioned Mark, a classmate who was charismatic and always surrounded by friends. At first, I didn't think much of it. But over time, I noticed she talked about him more frequently, and their interactions seemed more personal. She started spending more time on campus, often citing group projects or study sessions. When I asked about it, she assured me it was all academic. I wanted to trust her, so I did. One evening, she told me about a party Mark was hosting at his condo in IT Park. She invited me, but I had work to finish and declined. She said she understood and promised to be home early. As the night progressed, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. Around 10 p.m., I decided to go to the party, just to see for myself. When I arrived, the party was in full swing. I searched for her and found her on the balcony with Mark. He was leaning in close, whispering something that made her laugh. His face was inches from her neck. I approached them, and she looked surprised to see me. Mark smirked and said, "Chill, man. It's just a party." I couldn't contain my anger and punched him. He stumbled back, holding his jaw. The room fell silent. I looked at her and said, "I warned you." Then I left. She called me the next day, crying and apologizing. I didn't answer. I needed time to process everything. In the following weeks, I focused on work and spent time with friends. It wasn't easy, but I began to heal. Months later, we ran into each other at a cafe. We talked, and she admitted her mistakes. I told her I forgave her but couldn't be with her anymore. Sometimes, love isn't enough. Trust and respect are essential. I learned to listen to my instincts and prioritize my well-being. I didn't think I'd hear from her again after that last conversation in the cafe. It felt like closure. But 3 weeks later, she texted me late at night. "I need to talk. Please." At first, I ignored it. Then a second message came. "It's important. It's about Mark. Please." I don't know what pushed me, but I replied with a simple, "What?" She asked to meet in person. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at the same coffee shop where everything started. She looked anxious. No makeup, tired eyes wringing her fingers. She said Mark had been showing up at her classes even though they didn't share any anymore. That he'd started messaging her constantly, even calling her parents. At first, she thought he was just upset about the party. But then he started leaving notes on her car. She showed me one. "You smiled at me first. You don't get to leave now." Chills ran through me. She said, "I know I messed up with you. But he's not okay. And I think it's getting worse." I didn't want to be her emotional support anymore. I really didn't. But hearing that made my stomach twist. I asked if she'd gone to the police. She shook her head. "No proof. He deletes everything right after he sends it. They told me it wasn't enough." So now I was stuck in this weird place. I didn't want to get involved again, but something felt off. Really off. The next day, I got a DM from an account I didn't recognize. No name, no profile picture. "Keep your nose out of things that don't concern you. You already had your turn." I stared at it for a long time. Then I blocked the account. But I started watching my back after that. A few days later, I was walking to my car after grabbing dinner when I noticed something odd. The back window was smashed. Nothing stolen. Just shattered glass everywhere, and a single sticky note left on my dashboard. "You should have hit me harder." That's when I knew it was him. And now it wasn't just about her anymore. Something had cracked in this guy. And he was making it personal. I called her that night. "We need to talk again. Somewhere safe." We met in a public park. I could see she was scared, really scared this time. Not just guilty. She said Mark had started following her home, waiting outside her place. Her roommates were starting to freak out too. One of them saw him standing across the street at 3 a.m., just watching. We agreed to go to the police together this time. Bring all the notes, screenshots of messages, everything. They took the report, told us they'd look into it, but honestly, it didn't feel like they were taking it seriously. So I did something dumb. I baited him. I posted an Instagram story from a bar downtown where I used to hang out, a place I hadn't gone to in months. I made sure it looked like I was alone. Then I waited in my car, parked across the street. An hour passed. Nothing. Then I saw him. Walking toward the bar, hood up, scanning the crowd. Looking for me. I got out. Crossed the street. He saw me and stopped. "Looking for someone?" I asked. He smiled. But it wasn't the kind of smile normal people have. It was slow, cold. "I wanted to talk," he said. "You got in the way. I was trying to help her move on. You don't get to play hero now." I didn't hit him this time. I just pulled out my phone and recorded everything. His face changed. He lunged at me, tried to knock the phone out of my hand. We struggled. People nearby noticed and started yelling. Someone called the cops. This time, there were actual witnesses. They arrested him that night. The night he got arrested felt like a win, but that feeling didn't last long. The very next morning, I woke up to dozens of missed calls from her. I called back immediately, thinking he'd gotten out somehow. But it was worse than that. "He didn't act alone," she said, her voice shaky. "Mark, he had help." At first, I didn't believe her. "What are you talking about?" Then she dropped the bomb. "My roommate. Liza. She was working with him." I had met Liza once or twice. She seemed quiet, always kept to herself. Turns out, she and Mark had a history. They'd been on again off again back in high school, and apparently he had convinced her that I was manipulating her best friend and holding her back. That's how he framed it. Liza had been feeding him information. When she left the house to go to class, she was actually meeting with him. That's how he always knew where my ex was, or where I was. Even the bait I set up at the bar, she had seen me schedule the fake post. And then things got darker. Liza disappeared. After Mark's arrest, she cleared out her stuff, turned off her phone, and vanished. Police considered her a person of interest. But without charges, they didn't pursue it. My ex was terrified. She started crashing on her cousin's couch, always looking over her shoulder. Meanwhile, I kept getting weird deliveries. An unmarked envelope on my doorstep with a blurry photo of me and her talking in the park. A small box left under my windshield wiper, with a broken phone inside, screen cracked like someone stomped it. No note. No explanation. I was losing sleep. My appetite was gone. I'd gone from heartbroken to paranoid, and it was eating me alive. Then came the biggest twist. My ex's cousin, who she was staying with, got a message on Facebook from someone named Leslie. They claimed to be Mark's other girlfriend. Said they'd been together for over a year, and that he had been telling her everything. According to Leslie, Mark had a plan. He was obsessed with proving loyalty. He believed the world was fake, relationships were fake, and the only people worth keeping were the ones who'd go through hell for you. He had convinced Leslie that everything he did was part of some test, to see if people were real or fakes. He used her to keep tabs on Liza, and Liza to control my ex. He wanted me angry. He wanted me to punch him. The more I reacted, the more he felt validated. Leslie said he had been recording everything, keeping a twisted journal of everyone's Failures, I told the police. They took her statement. They said they'd open a broader investigation. But that still didn't mean we were safe. Because that journal? It hadn't been found. It all came to a head 2 weeks later. A detective called and asked if we could meet at the station. Something's come up, he said. We think you both should hear this in person. We met there, me, her, and to our surprise, Leslie was also there. She looked nervous but calm, like someone who had finally made peace with what she was about to do. She held up a flash drive. This is everything, she said. Apparently, Mark had been paranoid enough to keep backups of his videos, notes, and voice memos. But he'd trusted Leslie. Maybe too much. She'd found his cloud login written in one of his old notebooks. We sat in silence as the detective played the clips. There were recordings of Mark ranting in his bedroom, talking about how people only care when they're forced to. How pain reveals truth. He had recorded conversations with Liza, who was clearly more involved than we thought. She was the one who sent the anonymous messages, the notes on my car, the fake social media threats. Then came the worst clip. It was from the night of the party. He'd recorded himself before going out to the balcony with my ex. In the video, he looked straight into the camera and said, "Let's see if I can get her to laugh while I tell her how I made him jealous. She still thinks I'm into her. But I'm just proving a point. Watch how fast he comes running." He wasn't just hitting on her. He was using her to get to me. She looked away, covering her mouth as the realization hit. Her face turned pale. She had believed, even in some small way, that there was something between them. That she'd been wanted. But it wasn't desire. It was a setup. I just stared at the screen, numb. My heart didn't race. My fists didn't clench. I just felt hollow. That night, we ended up back at her cousin's place. The silence between us was unbearable. She finally broke it. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I should have believed you. I should have listened." I didn't answer right away. I couldn't. Then I asked, "Why didn't you?" She started to cry. "Because he made me feel seen. You were busy, and I felt invisible. He made me feel like I mattered." I nodded. Not because I accepted it, but because I finally understood. Not justified. Just understood. "You mattered to me," I said. "Even when I was busy. Even when I was tired. But I guess that wasn't enough." She said nothing. The room felt heavy, like the air was made of bricks. Her cousin came in quietly, saw the tension, and tried to offer tea or something to break it. We both declined. After a while, she said, "Do you hate me?" "No," I said. "I just don't think I can ever look at you the same." She broke down. And I just sat there. I didn't hold her. I didn't console her. I just watched the pieces fall from a distance. The police later confirmed that Liza had left the country using a fake name. The trail went cold. Mark was moved to a facility for psychiatric evaluation. His trial would take months. Leslie agreed to testify against him. A week later, I packed up and left Cebu. I moved to Davao for a fresh start. No goodbye text. No drawn-out closure. I just left. And now, months later, I still think about it. I think about how fast trust can shatter. About how sometimes people hurt you not because they hate you, but because they don't know how to value you. About how one guy's twisted idea of love turned into a war I never asked to fight. Do I regret getting involved again? Maybe. Do I miss her? Sometimes. But more than anything, I miss who I was before all this. The guy who believed love meant safety. That loyalty was a two-way street. Now I'm careful. I listen more. Watch more. Love slower. And maybe that's sad? But maybe that's survival.